The doubt for us is still there.
And I would have wanted that doubt.
But you have a sister-in-law who doesn't agree.
It's also hitting on the husband. What was that?
I forget how much I love Elizabeth Banks.
Again, the first time I watched it, I was like, God, this is a French film. Europeans are okay with not having a happy ending.
He's going to have to do something hard for the rest of their lives.
Something irrational.
Yes.
Right? Welcome back to another episode of Reel Chums, where chatting about movies feels like hanging out with friends. I'm your host, Marcel, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Danny.
This week, we're discussing The Next 3 Days, directed by Paul Haggis and written by Paul Haggis, based on the French film Pour Elle by Fred Cavalier. The film stars Russell Crowe, Elizabeth Banks, Liam Neeson, Olivia Wilde, and more.
We're finishing up our theme this month of Wrongfully Accused. Next week, we're going to kick it off with a brand new theme, Women That Get Revenge. We're starting it off with Thelma and Louise. But before we roll the intro, just a reminder, if you enjoy what we do here and want to support us, head over to reelchums.com. That's ReelChums.com, where you can donate any amount, whether that's $1, $5, whatever you want to spare and want to show support with.
We do appreciate all those who have supported us, and don't. It does help us keep these lights on. It does not apparently keep the bugs away. Bugs are strong right now. But you can also join in on the conversation by heading over to YouTube and smashing that subscribe button. You'll get trailer reactions, movie and TV show reviews, and our thoughts on some big, hot movie news. But with that being said,
let's roll that intro.
Marcel.
Yeah.
This movie has me all sorts of kinds of feels. But question of the day is, if you were going to flee the country, what country are you fleeing to?
I'm fleeing because I'd go to Switzerland, I guess. Free healthcare.
It's a good thing.
Maybe they'll pay me to have a child.
So your wife can have it.
Don't these like countries?
They do.
They like give you huge incentives for having kids.
Yeah, aren't they trying to do that here?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what we're doing.
I don't know what we're doing. It's a hot mess over here. I might be fleeing the country right now. I've thought about. I think I would maybe go South Korea.
South Korea would be fun.
I think it'd be kind of a pretty sweet place. Alternatively, possibly Costa Rica. I think the idea of Costa Rica sounds great, but the it's like I think it's a little like I think I like cities, so I think I end up I gravitate more to those city places.
Sure.
So I don't know, maybe England, Switzerland, or Amsterdam. Amsterdam, maybe.
If you follow the logic of this movie, right, that Liam Neeson says like you need cash and lots of it because you burned through it.
You cannot do it in London.
You cannot do London.
Probably not in South Korea either.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I have to go to like freaking Tibet.
Hence why these guys end up going to
Venezuela.
Jeez.
I know. That was pride. I mean, this movie came out in 2010. There is no... I mean, it was the beginning of the downfall.
Yeah.
All right. Listen. One, I just wanted to shout out to anyone who hadn't seen this movie. I'm sorry if we spoiled it for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Real sorry about that. But this movie was great. And honestly, I'm really pumped to be talking about it. Let's do a quick synopsis for this is a married couple's life is turned upside down when the wife is accused of a murder. Normally, we like to talk a little bit about like our relationship. Honestly, this came out in 2010. I don't think I saw it in theaters. In fact, I actually thought I hadn't seen it until this one watch. There's one scene in this film that triggered it all for me that I was like, oh my gosh, this movie is great.
Yeah, I saw this in 2010. I rented it on a Redbox. I remember seeing the trailer and just being like, oh, this looks great. This is going to be an action-packed movie. It's not. But not. It's not a bad thing.
No.
The trailer definitely like pitches as like, there's a car chase and spinning and cool shots. But I liked it the first time I saw it. I enjoyed it. It's a slow burn, but I think it has a really good payoff. And I think I've seen this maybe like twice.
Yeah.
Total, maybe 3 times.
You initially pitched this for a heist movie.
I initially pitched this as last year when we did heist movies.
Yeah. And this is a jail breakout film.
Yeah.
But I have to like this is one of the best planning sequences, just like overall plotting of like what we're gonna do, and it's fantastic. And I think it definitely does not fit in the heist genre, in my opinion. just with
Sure.
with the
It's a breakout. Yeah,
it's a breakout film.
But
It
he
just
does heist her.
it does. I guess you're right. I mean, there's that.
He forces her out of the hospital.
Okay, that's fair. Let's start with characters. Okay, and Elizabeth Banks.
She's so great.
I want more. I forget how much I love Elizabeth Banks.
She is wonderful, and I always think of her as, Effie Trinket in the Hunger Games. I love her in Pitch Perfect. I love her in Pitch Perfect. Modern Family. Just a comedic genius.
She is. And she's she's been directing quite a bit.
Yeah.
I actually always enjoy her as Wild Style in the Lego movie. So, but this movie, she does just a phenomenal job in performance.
Yeah, and especially how we're introduced to her, right?
Yeah.
I love, and we've talked a lot about this in our month of Wrongfully Accused, but I love how we're introduced to these characters. Hers is a little bit different from the others because she's not necessarily our protagonist, but we're introduced to her at, in this moment of just being upset, anger, right?
Listen, as a guy who's been complaining to you about some work situations.
No one at work better be listening to this. Just kidding.
They all know. They know I have beef. It's one, you just a woman who's trying to express frustration.
Yeah.
But you have a sister-in-law who is doesn't agree because she thinks she's overreacting. Or thinks that she lives in a different paradigm. She's like, you're doing it wrong. It's basically what it comes down to.
It's also hitting on the husband.
What
was that?
I also don't know. I'm like, who sits on a date, like a couple date?
Yeah.
Not next to the couple.
Not next to the couple. Yeah.
The fact that we're having to get introduced to these kids, we're like, wait, that's not your wife? Mm-hmm. Why are you sitting there?
Yeah.
But it adds to the amplification of that one little tension. The only other shot is a long shot, and it's like looking down the dinner scene with the scene of where they're at.
Yeah, yeah.
Great stuff.
Great stuff, because to your point, it adds to the confusion. It adds to the heated element and discussion that we're having.
Yeah.
You get some fun over the shoulders, long shots. It's a fun... Technically a fun shot, right? Or sequence. But I love that introduction because we see her as this passionate individual, passionate about her work, about her relationship with her husband. We then cut later to them going home, and then the next morning, and we see how much she loves her husband, loves her child. And it's great because we obviously get cut to then the police showing up, and then 3 years later is where we're at, and she's in a whole different state, right?
Yeah.
Just broken down. She's making such a strong effort to have a relationship with her child. She sends daily letters, and John reads them to their son, but it's heartbreaking to see her still have that love for her family, but not have it reciprocated back by her child.
Yeah.
And I love her performance throughout this entire movie because she brings it, man.
Dude, so in all of it, her eyes, her delivery of the lines, I just think it from, and even until in the end part when when the heist, she's confused about why John is committing this. It's just from beginning to end, I think it's just a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
And I just really, I think the one note I have is that I think, as someone who we're looking to, as we review these films, think, okay, what is it that we want to do for a film? The restraint that they have, as Paul had to not write any moments for Laura, I think is truly a gem, and it's one that I think just plays to the slow burn and the impact that the final act has.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned that because I think watching it this time, I really wanted more from her just because she gives such a great performance. And part of me was like, I want more of her, maybe like in prison, in jail. Like, what is her day to day like? What are the interactions that she's having with other inmates? What is that? And part of me was like, thinking it would be great to see this just because then the movie very blatantly doesn't tell you if she's innocent or not, right?
Yeah.
And so part of me was like, I kind of want to buy into John's desire to break her out. If I can become more empathetic to her. Not that the movie isn't doing that, because
right.
I feel like how she wants this relationship from her son, and you're not getting it. But yes, I think an amateur filmmaker like myself would have approached it and like, let's really dig into what those interactions are at. And you don't need to, right?
No.
You don't need to, because we are seeing who she is every time that John shows up to the prison, to the jail, and we're seeing those interactions that are crucial for him and his need to break her out, and less more of what's her day today like. And look, audience, we want you to be empathetic and relate or engage with her in some other manner.
Yeah. Now, I love that you bring his need to break her out. Russell Crowe is phenomenal.
Yes.
I know I haven't seen A Beautiful Mind, okay, but I know that he uses this like, I don't know, this sense of duty of like this quiet giant,
Yeah.
Contemplating, trying to figure out how things are, and I just really enjoy this thing. The one thing I has like I really enjoyed is specifically some of the moments that he has with when his professor, and I'm like, do I want a little bit more there? Because it's such a slow, like, methodical burn. I really appreciate that he's not, they have this, he's a lone wolf. He just goes to work. He is visiting his wife, trying to plot the escape. And I think it's really phenomenal. But there's his classmates, right? Or like his class, what's the book they're talking about?
Don Quixote.
Don Quixote. You've read that book?
Yeah, long time ago in my Spanish class.
It's one I never did it.
Yeah.
I knew it was like a Spanish, like, people did, but it's thick.
It's thick in
Triple C's.
In
Spanish.
In Spanish, not Mexican Spanish.
Yeah.
I love that. It's interesting that you bring that up, because the only interaction we have him professionally is that when he's talking to his students about Don Quixote.
And they're giving their thoughts.
Their thoughts, right? And there's beautiful, like, interwoven theme between the two of them.
Yeah.
Look, a quick synopsis on Don Quixote, right? It follows. Let me pull it up. It follows him, Alonso, who's a middle-aged Spanish man who becomes obsessed with books about chivalry and knights.
Yeah.
So he gets consumed by this fantasy. And then he renames himself as Don Quixote, and he sets out to revive knighthood. He wears armor. He rides with his horse, Rocinante, and then he recruits Sancho as his squire. But like the whole time, his idealism of knighthood and this chivalry, all these books about chivalry and knights, causes him to misinterpret the world around him. So he becomes obsessed with like fighting giants, which are just windmills.
Yeah.
He sees little inns as castles, prostitutes as royalty, women of royal, right? And so like he blurs these lines of reality with his obsession of illusion. And that's what he's talking about with his students, right? John, is when does reality become an obsession, and why is Don Quixote driven?
Yeah.
And we see that here with John, that he becomes isolated, very much like Don Quixote. People mock him. He becomes this isolated figure in the book where no one wants to be around him. And John is kind of a bummer to be around
Yeah.
by his family. His
Yeah.
family doesn't like being around him to a point. No, maybe not like being around him, but they're constantly just asking, like, drop it. Like, this is the reality. Maybe you just need to move on.
Yeah, I love the scene where John is he's trying to get another appeal, and so he's, look, John, if you weren't Laura's husband, if you look just at the facts, you got to look at, and he storms out. I really appreciate the fact that, like, the moment where Laura talks about, your dad's right, oh, I'm so glad you're talking with Dad.
Yeah.
And it's just a great drive. Like, them realizing, like, we have accepted the reality and you have not gotten there. And I think it's just such a powerful moment. And I really appreciate that he doesn't lose it when Laura says, you haven't asked me if I've done it.
Yeah.
Or if I did it. Right. And I think there's a level here that I really like that scene, because he doesn't freak out. It's not shock. Not until he leaves.
Yeah.
And I think for me, there's a level there that is like him, because I think there's a level that he was delusional. I can't remember off the top of my head if he'd already talked to Liam Neeson at that part.
I believe he had.
He had, right? He had started to make the plans.
Yeah.
Like, so he's fixated on wanting to make it work. He's trying to be methodical, and he's trying not to, like, get her, want to introduce or say anything to his wife, to anybody really, because he knows that, like, he's gonna have to do something hard for the rest of their lives.
Something irrational.
Yes.
Right? And again, coming back to Don Quixote, these themes, and maybe that's what I wanted more out of this movie, is for us to, like, really lean into it does well, but, like, just as Don Quixote, like, sets off on this delusional quest, so to speak, John is on that same path. Like, the facts are against you. Reality is against you.
Yeah.
And this path leads Don Quixote to be isolated, to focus more on his belief rather than the facts, just as John is now this seemingly literature teacher in a community college, is now, like, learning how to break
create a bump key,
go meet up with drug dealers so that way he can, like, figure out how to get passports and IDs. Like, it's just delusional. But because he is our protagonist, right, we buy into it. And I kind of wish the movie would have leaned more into the delusion and maybe hinted that she did do it, that she did commit the crime. But I don't know. Like, maybe I'm just me. That's just, I love, like, good psychological thrillers, and that's not what Paul Haggis is trying to do here, nor in his other movies. But I do love that. I love the similarities between the two characters, between Don Quixote and here and John. But it sets up for a wonderful payoff of, I think this guy might be a bit delusional, and he's acting irrationally to wanting to break his wife out because she claims that she's innocent.
But I mean, I think at the core, it's like he goes from delusion to obsession, and he's like, I love my wife. And I think that scene that I meant, like, of him saying, listen, I don't care, I know who you are. Yeah. Like, that's just like, and not only that, but, like, her, like, she tried to do something to, like, push him away so he could be maybe happy.
Yeah.
And him coming back and being, like, maybe obsessed or passionate, whatever you want to, any way you want to look at it, he's not going to back down. He knows in his gut that she was correct in saying that it wasn't her. And it's fantastic. So I want to just make a quick note. Luke as Ty
Ty Simpkins.
Ty Simpkins. I mean, we check out our episode on Iron Man 3. He plays the kid in Iron Man 3 that everyone forgets about in Endgame, but we're like
the rest of the series, yeah.
But he's phenomenal there too, and he actually this film I can see where some of the elements and some of this like lone wolf kid style thing plays into that film and how he gets to shine.
Yeah,
I think I don't have a doubt that he probably had some really great opportunities learning from being on such a method, such a slow burn with such a dramatic moments of a character that he could then play off the moments he has with Robert Downey Jr. and the emotional beats in that film with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check that episode out.
Do we feel like there might have been an additional storyline between John and Olivia Wilde's character?
I had a little bit of thought, but I don't think so. I think really she was just a character of this man who is delusional and obsessed to want to save his wife and is going to do anything for her, but he has to maintain some kind of routine and give his kid there. And I think it's more of I think for him it's a little bit of like it was a way for them to build a setup and a payoff for the finale and to build additional tension for the film in that final act.
I don't know, man. She was throwing some eyes over
Oh,
there.
dude, the eyes, bro. She wanted to go bone to.
Olivia Wilde has wild eyes.
She's got some amazingly beautiful eyes. But
it's an interesting payoff. And again, because he's so methodical in how he is planning this heist, that's one of the issues that I have. I'm like, really? You thought of every little detail, even how to like throw off the cops, but you never looked at the invitation, the kid's invitation.
Yeah.
It's whatever. But I want to talk a little bit about like the pacing of the movie, because this is a bit of a slow burner.
Oh, this is not just, okay? I honestly think this might be the slowest burn of all. Like it is the first and second act are even the third act. Like it is you're like. I mean, I think I was like, we had a conversation. I was like, I started it, but I'm watching it on Pluto, and I'm like, I don't know, dude. And then it's the new month started, and it was off the freaking Pluto.
Freaking digital streaming services.
I'm not gonna lie, I was like, dang, I wish I could just go rent this movie right now, like go borrow it from somebody.
No, I just it is a slow burner. It's interesting how Paul decides to do this movie, because the original movie, Porel, he was very open about it, and he said, I love the movie, great story, but I felt like the movie didn't lean enough into the emotional aspects of the relationship that these two characters have. And so when he watched that, he's like, I want to remake this into something and really focus more on that aspect. And we get a lot of scenes, obviously, of him going into the jail and interacting with Lara, but there is something, I don't know, like I don't like how the movie started with like him driving and someone dying in the back seat, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me as if watching it, I was watching it for the first time. I was like, oh, like, because I couldn't remember any of this film.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, so he did it, and she's getting accused of this thing. Even though it's like, we get the scene. Why would he go back and murder his wife's boss, right? But I'm like, maybe they were having an affair, because that's what she, when she pulls out the jacket of like, oh, did she catch like someone's hair? But then realizing it's blood, and then her getting arrested. Oh, okay, she's there. And so, initial watch, I think it's like semi there. But I think if I were to rewatch it again, I 100% agree with you. Okay. I don't think it works.
I don't think it works because we see it, and then it immediately says like the past 3 years, right?
Years, yeah.
So immediately I'm like, okay, like this is something that's gonna be happening in 3 years from now. But then like, so I would have cut that out. I don't think the setup for the payoff later is enough. It's not merited.
Do you think that has to do something with Don Quixote? Like his that scene is him crossing a line for his character to do something that he was forced to do.
Yeah.
Due to the pressure that he needed more cash.
Yeah.
His wife was going to be moved in the next 3 days, and so he was desperate.
He was desperate. Yeah, I mean, I do like the overall scene, and I think I probably would have maybe cut down. This isn't our traditional Reel Chums rewrites. I think it's a Reel Chums re-edit, but I think I would have like trimmed down more of like the interactions between him and like the drug dealers.
Yeah. Okay.
And maybe I would have probably like just. Yeah, you have the first one. It doesn't go well, but maybe, and then like the second one, the guy with the motorcycle that's after him. I'm deaf, you dumbass.
Actually,
I love that.
I thought those guys were freaking. They gave you the Ghiblies, man.
They did. But again, like he just gets it, and like there's no real connection after that. And then I don't know. And he's desperate for the cash. I do like that entire sequence because that's him crossing a line, right?
Yeah.
Like he has the weapon. He stalks this one guy and follows him all around to then just be able to find his dealer and steal the money. But I don't know. I just think I would have trimmed that down a little bit more. Those interactions.
There's a couple of scenes for sure. I think they could have tightened it.
Yeah.
I will say, I actually thought that the payoff of, he's like, you want this too bad and you're going to mess it up.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful like line from this guy, and then having it, play out like, is he going to get shot or is he not going to have the opportunity? Or even like when everything goes down, is it going to play out? And especially with him not reading the invitation and like all these things are like beginning to like stack up of like, was it viable?
I do like that aspect because, again, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, this is a French film. Like, Europeans are okay with not having a happy ending. Like, I think this movie might not have that happy ending.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was actually building up towards that because you have Liam Neeson's character says, like, you want this too much. Or he says, the motorcycle guy is the one that says, you want this too much, you're going to screw it up.
Yep.
Liam Neeson's the one that's telling him, like, you need to commit. Like, are you willing to like push an old lady down because she's in your path in order for you to like escape? Like, are you willing to become that person?
Yeah.
Right. And so we see him almost run over the mom and the kid when he's getting out of the car. We see him screw up with the bump key.
Yeah.
And like he panics to the point he just runs out and just like vomits over the bridge.
Yeah.
It would have sucked to have been under that bridge walking.
Facts.
and then, but like, I like how it builds up this suspense of him. Like, yeah, this guy might screw up and it might not work out. And then like the day of him trying to do all of this, like he's gotten so good at breaking in and out of that one medical van.
Yeah.
But there are so many other things that we don't know about him renting that car, leaving it out, the having to take Laura out and her kind of being like, what are you doing? No, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
You're going to end up in jail. It's I like the buildup. I do. But I think the whole planning aspect of it could have been a faster
I think like
sequence.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
I think 30 minutes taken out from here and there. I think we would feel enough of what we need and still get what we want out of the film. And that might be like a lot, but I don't know. I think there's like, you do a little bit here, a little bit there.
Yeah.
It would all add up to about 30 minutes and you would be like, oh no, that's better. Cause it's like, I mean, it's a long movie.
It's a 2 hour and 13 minute.
I mean, that would
movie.
put it like
an hour and
47, which I think would be a good.
Yeah, I think
length.
would be good. Yeah.
So yeah, okay. I also want to just say, Stefan slays it with the cinematography. There's some scenes in here. There's some shots just in general that are just, they are beautiful cityscape scenes.
Yeah.
There are some scenes in here that you're just like, I honestly, I think even this is simple, but the Olivia Wilde, like leaning out, that it's a subtle scene, but it's like,
Oh, in the car?
no, at the park.
Oh, yes.
I know it's a simple scene, but like,
Yeah.
there's just something about this level of like, okay, she's obviously, she might be seeing, she's eyeing this dude who's the only dad there, so we know how that goes. And then I think the other aspect is like, I love that this film is dark.
Yes.
Like it's dark. He's slinking out at like 2 in the morning to go do some of this work.
It makes me want to never visit Pittsburgh.
Oh, 100%. Oh my
so
God.
cold.
There's just some, I also love like the close-ups on the police officers, the like this nuance of holding on frames, some of the like perfect symmetry in some specific moments, as well as like just the cinematography here is like, it's really great.
The close-ups when John and Laura are across the table, in jail, right? Like they get the lighting perfectly, especially like in spaces like that where it's just a basic room.
Yeah.
But he gets some incredible shots and close-ups that add to the tension, that add to the emotion of everything that's happening. I do enjoy you. Sorry, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit here, but you brought up the cops. What was I didn't like that we brought like a different cop at the end.
Yeah, so I think there's this level. I don't know what happened there. Because we have the black cop, the black girl cop with the white guy who
the two that arrest her. Yeah,
and he sees
he sees John
vomit, and he's making connection. And he's like, what happened here? I think what it is that it was more of a moment of like, it's a new case.
Yeah.
Okay, so a new detective has been brought on to solve the murder of these two lowlifes, meth dealers, who didn't die through an crazy explosion that should have happened. And so they're trying to, and they find that there's a Prius. And I really appreciate that, that like, they're like, well, who do we know? What other people, like, they're like, there's a murderer, she's in county, or she's in jail, and there's a pedophile or whatever the person is, and like they're going after that, right? And I just like this rising tension that starts to build, and I think with the fact that it's a new person, this one is for John, and I for me, I think it works well. I did have a moment that was like, oh, it's a little weird that we have somebody else.
But it's just odd that like the two original cops, right? They see him coming out of county, he's throwing up, and he makes a connection. So then he starts like, also watching him and investigating him, being like, he realizes that he's selling the house. And he sold all of his like,
I forgot
stuff,
about that part.
And it's like, okay, maybe he's on to him for some whatever reason. And then we introduce this other cop, right? I don't know. I think like we've already established these two detectives. We've already established that they're, for whatever reason, a little bit suspicious of John. And now, if they were the ones that were brought into the case, because it is well, I don't know.
I think what it is that he knows something's there.
Yeah.
He doesn't know why, because I think that his other. His partner is like, what the heck, man? Yeah. Can we go do some real police work, right? And then so having this new him breaking her out, because like he's been very vocal that she's innocent, and him relooking all the cases and trying to reevaluate. I think it's a great payoff towards the end of like where he's at the scene of the crime again, trying to go through another case. I think it's one of those moments of like justice, of like, you have this conviction as a police officer, because this film, you could have made this more of like an actual like it being a heist film, right? Mm-hmm. You as a cop are coming in, and we get the heist at the very beginning, and we're going through the hunt. And are they going to catch him or are they not going to catch him?
Yeah. And
making a little bit more of that the cat and mouse chase situation. But I really appreciate. To me, I think part of it's like, the other team, like John outsmarted them. He took everything there, and he thought through. I love the line. He's like, "Why do you think that this is the one that when they do the Haitian capital, whatever, mm-hmm. like, why do you think this is the one that we ended up finding and none of the others?" Right. I think it's him starting to question himself. Like, if this guy was able to outsmart us, and is it that I was wrong, or is it that like they're just a couple of criminal couple or something? I don't know. I don't know. I really liked. I thought it went well. Can we talk through some of the actual heists and some of the sequences?
Yeah.
Elizabeth Banks, the leaning out of the car and the car spinning, all that scene floods it back for me. I was like, of course I've seen this film. I remember the trailer.
The trailer, dude. The trailer sold everyone on that shot right there.
Yeah. But and honestly, it's so good.
It's cool.
It is so cool. It's like a weird dance, not dance.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot, if you remember in Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah.
When Tom is following what's her face, and like they just do like this spinning
with the bikes.
No. In the car he's following the
right.
girl like right after like she steals something, and like they just get into like this weird fight, and then like the car almost like falls over the edge, whatever.
That's right.
But yeah, like I just love like the over the top shot as she's like leaning out and he's pulling her in. The semi coming by, it's cool, and it's also just like because the movie, we had the action sequence of the meth lab being blown up and everything, but like for the most part, as we've talked, the movie is fairly slower paced and a bit more methodical. To then like have this sequence out of nowhere and just like the spinning and the action element of it all, it's like a nice little jolt of being like, oh crap, like we're in this.
Well, I don't think it's not just that. I think it's part of it's like, she's confused as to what's happening.
Yeah.
We see all the buildup of everything that he's done over the series of years, and then the preparation of the last 3 days in showcasing. Okay, I'm gonna. He puts, he gets her out, handcuffs her. He knows he's under pressure. That he has more pressure than he expected because they show up. And they're having to chase, but he's smart enough to like try to throw off the trail and double back to the lobby and get to there. And then all he has to do, and him switching to his Steelers jacket that was reversible, and having this moment and leading to this moment of like, Banks trying to be like, this is not going to work. Mm-hmm. There's no way. And her commitment to say like, I don't want my kid
to be left behind,
to be left with nobody.
Yeah.
And having that moment. And I think, again, this is one of those moments of like restraint. He could have yelled at her. He could have gotten in the car. What were you thinking? They don't talk.
That stood out to me so much this last time. Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you could have avoided all of this if you just had a simple conversation of like, no, honey, like we're not going to do this. I'm not going to go if you leave our child behind, right? But they don't talk. And again, it goes back to what apparently, and shame on me but like Elizabeth Banks being an incredible actress, dramatic actress, right? For her, like the emotion she just shows, and I love the shot that we have of them just there, we don't really get close on them.
No, you're like a wide. You're in like it's like a 35 mil. We're like maybe 10 feet away.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
15.
Right.
And we're just seeing them like she's on the ground. He comes down low and then all we get is a close up of the hands.
And it's maybe like a 45-second, a minute of no dialogue.
No dialogue.
Unheard of.
Absolutely unheard of.
You can't get away with that. Like, I don't know how Paul convinced the studio to do that, but like, no dialogue. And it's just cars passing by.
Yeah.
We sit on them. We sit with the emotion of this, the adrenaline, the emotion, the frustration, the depression of it all, of her being like, I thank you for doing this, for breaking me out, but like, I'm not going to do it if we're not taking our child with us. Right?
Yeah.
And just them slowly like standing up and like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful scene.
So powerful, dude.
I loved it.
And honestly, I think that like they had to do it. They had to go with all the action sequence to get people into the box office to sit down, or into the theater, right? But it's so worth it.
Yeah.
I think that the slow burn is. I know that we feel like we could maybe cut 30 minutes from it, and they probably could. But at the end of the day, I still think like it. It's hard nowadays because it's like there's always Ironheart was on, or there's new shows now to be able to there. But I'm like really glad we went through this because it's just it was truly a gem. I actually really appreciate like every aspect of the escape. The police officers being his preparation, because we get moments of all of it.
Yeah.
But we don't get to see the throughput.
We don't get to see
it's not like okay, this is how this is how we're gonna do the heist.
Yeah.
And we see the heist, and then we go to the heist, and something goes wrong.
Yes.
This one, I love that it's like, no, he does the plan. He takes into account by Liam Neeson, who couldn't deal with the thing, but he didn't have something to fight for.
Yeah.
I will say the scene with Olivia Wilde and Elizabeth Banks.
Oh,
I think I can see maybe at that point, the question of like, was there supposed to be something else? Was there like a third arc?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do love when he's like, oh, we just have to go pick her, or we just have to pick him up at her house. Who is her? Some line like that.
It's great. It's subtle.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite scene?
I do like. I think I just like the entire like breaking her out as soon as he drops off the kid with Olivia Wilde and then he goes off. That entire 45 minutes is just incredible. The breaking out of the hospital, blending it with the crowd, which if we ever make a Wrongfully Accused movie, we have to have a blending into the crowd.
I know.
Minority Report did it. Fugitive does it.
Yeah.
This one does it.
I know. I was actually thinking, I'm like, this is such a great scene.
Blending in with the crowd. All of that just is wonderful. I do enjoy, however, like the very last moment when they get to the airport.
Dude.
The kid with the cops are just like, they're headed to Haiti, right? Like, this is the airport. Are we sure they're there? They're there. And they're just going down the line. They cross like security, and then they do a switch of the staff, and their picture comes up. So cliche, but like it works.
Oh no, dude! I think
the kid with the coins in his pocket. Oh, I remember the first time I watched it. I'm like, get out of here! Get on the plane and take off. You guys can do it.
I think, we talk about like there are a lot of slow burns out there. I just think that this is one of the best, honestly.
Yeah.
I really do think that Paul and team knocks it out of the park. Despite my like ADHD / 2025 like addiction of like, let's get to something sooner.
quick cuts
of whatever. I don't always need quick cuts, but I'm like, at the end of the day, like there's, that attention grabber or whatever. This movie, just the build up for that final sequence. And I just really appreciate that. John has prepped the last 3+ years or whatever for this moment. And everything still is there. And having Laura finally be like, no, I'm here for you now.
Yeah.
I think that's just like the cherry on top for me.
Yes. It's so good. I just love that whole airport sequence. It's wonderful.
That's also my favorite scene. I will say the runner-up is I really appreciate the detective coming back and like trying to think through what the heck. Like,
I was gonna ask you this. Do you like that scene?
I do. I think part of it is because like even though we have John saying she's innocent and that his conviction is there.
Yeah.
The doubt for us is still there. And
I would have wanted that doubt. Maybe I just wanted like a David Fincher psychological a film.
You want to be tortured.
I want to be tortured. I just you tease me with Don Quixote, and part of me would just at the end was like, you know what? He accomplished his mission. Unlike Don Quixote, he accomplished his mission, and he's going to just commit to this delusion. And it's okay if we don't know that if she was innocent or not.
I mean, I think that Christopher Nolan would leave us in this.
Yeah. It almost felt like they did like a what's it called?
Like a reshoot or like a
or like a studio note, or maybe they did like a test screening, and audiences were like, "What happened? Is she innocent or not?" Right? And they just came back and like shot that.
I think where they could have gotten that still, even with that end scene, is not showing the button in the dirt right before it come out. Like, they could have kept everything the same except for that one little moment. And we could have been like, we could take it anyway. Just like in Inception, like or whatever you want to put it. The totem.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's that, it has that moment of like, well, maybe that's how it actually played out.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't. Because Elizabeth Banks slays it at like, no, maybe she did do it.
Yeah. Right? Like,
she's committed to exiting a car at 75 miles per hour because their son is not going to be there.
Yeah, maybe she's a little cray-cray, right? but like, I think, again, it may be, I personally never doubted her. Like, I always believed she was innocent. Okay? And again, just because, like, his performance when she says, no, I did it, and he doesn't react or anything like that, like, I'm bought in because John is bought in. But at the end, I also would have been like, but maybe did she? Like, or maybe I buy into his delusion. I, as the viewer, buy into it that I don't need to know. Just like he never asked her, did you do it or not? I, as the viewer, have taken this 2-hour-long journey with John that now I am just like Don Quixote. I am believing in this delusion, and I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I really think they should have cut out that scene. I do, and maybe it was like a studio note or a test screening.
You think the whole scene?
I mean, yeah.
Interesting.
Show us, they're in Caracas. They're taking the picture as a family. We get our happily ever after. We're assuming they're going to live happily ever after down there.
Yeah.
But at the back of the back of your head, it's like, okay, but dude, did she? and maybe who cares? But like now I'm into this delusion. I'm tagging along with you into this delusion of it all.
Well, let us know what you guys think. Do you think that last final scene is warranted or not? We hope you guys enjoyed today's episode on the next 3 days. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And if you like this discussion, leave us a review or comment on YouTube because it really does help us get discovered.
And we want to hear from you. Again, let us know what you think of the next 3 days. Connect with us through our newsletter at realchums.com/newsletter. You can also connect with me on Threads at Marstrosity, MARZTROSITY.
And me at Rubio.tv.
Join us next week as we kick off our new theme of women getting revenge, starting with Thelma and Louise. Have you seen this?
Yeah, but it's been a while.
It's been a while.
But it's a great one.
It's a phenomenal one.
Phenomenal.
I am super excited.
I'm actually really pumped for this theme because it's like none of them are like action, like revenge films. They're just women getting revenge in a whole bunch of quirky situations.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm pumped. So go watch Thelma Louise. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Later.